Hey YouTube, it's Jacob here from Full Metal Armory, and we are talking about our laser engraver today. We got this in a couple months ago. I've had some time to play with it and to look at it, and our video today is going to be all about it. So as we go through, we're going to talk about what it is, what it's capable of, how it works, what it means for you as a customer, and how this interaction goes if you actually want something engraved. And then at the very end, we'll show you what it looks like, how it engraves. So stay tuned. We're going to go into first setting the thing up, and I'll have that kind of like running on the video as we go along, so you can see what it took to kind of get it out of the crate and looking like this. We purchased the Boss Laser FMD. The FM series uses a fiber cutter, and ours is the station package. They also make a desktop style that you can use on a table, but we bought the station for the ease of use. We got the 30-watt power upgrade so we can cut faster and deeper. The machine is air-cooled, whereas most CO2 machines are water-cooled or liquid-cooled. It's nice to have the air-cooled because we don't have to mess with fluids, and the supply of air is in no shortage. The machine has a cutting accuracy of up to 0.02 of an inch, and it can cut up to 5,000 millimeters a second. But we normally run about 1,000 millimeters per second. It runs on a simple 110 volt power supply and can be moved if necessary. Our machine came with a rotary chuck, so we can cut round objects seamlessly. However, I have yet to use this feature. It has a scanner head that projects the image onto the part before cutting, and it permanently marks most metals and industrial polymers. That being said, let's talk about the difference between a fiber machine and a CO2 machine quickly. So the main difference is the CO2 machine and the fiber machine can cut different materials. The fiber machine cuts most metals and industrial polymers, whereas a CO2 machine can lightly cut metals. It can cut some plastic, it can cut glass, wood, and acrylics. The reason we picked up the fiber machine is because most firearms and knives are made of metals and polymers. So this allows us to use the machine for what we can best purpose it for. That's it. It's a pretty amazing machine. I've used it for a couple of months now, and I'm very impressed with its capabilities and all the hardware and software that Boss Lasers put into it. It's been a very good addition to our team. Just do a quick all the way around the outside to check it out here. Pretty cool. I'm excited. Woo woo! With our machine, we use Adobe stock to find vectors and images that we would like to cut, and then we license those and send them over to CorelDRAW for the final touch-up and formatting changes. And then once we have all that done, we import them into a AutoCAD software that Boss Laser brings and sends with all their machines, that then tells the laser how to cut and where to cut it. And in that software you can change things like speeds and powers to get different colors and different intensities in different places. There's also something that allows us to change shading, which I haven't played with yet. Here is our rotary chuck. Toolbox and a manual. For a custom job, we would probably need to sit down together and look at all the options on vectors and designs. It would take a lot of personal one-on-one time to figure out what you need and what you're wanting to do, and that's why the pricing is difficult. So that's why we'll start at $100 minimum, because I know that it's going to take a little bit of time to figure out what you want, and then once we find what you want, then it takes a little bit of time to actually make that a reality. With the AutoCAD program, it's very possible. It just takes some time. So we'd have to make sure that everything's going to fit and work out the way you like it and the way it will actually work. right now we are leveling the machine, and I'm going to show you what all comes in this toolbox. So you have Allen keys for adjusting things, a few screws, a little Boss laser, USB, an extra lens, power cable, some protective goggles so you can actually see what's happening with your laser engraver, and a foot pedal. The fiber laser has the ability to cut very small images with very high detail. It also has a very large workstation. We can cut large parts up to 18 inches long and 12 inches high, and the part can be up to 8 to 10 inches off the table and still cut. So this allows us to cut a multitude of different options. Pretty much anything you can think of with a firearm we can do. If we do an upper and a lower, we'd have to do them separately, but we could cut the whole thing. So we could have a seamless design across an upper and a lower. The main issue with working with this stuff is the amount of time that's spent on the back end, setting it up and getting it ready. The actual cut, as you'll see in a little bit, doesn't take long at all. In less than a minute, you're almost always done with whatever you're cutting. A lot of parts are done within a couple seconds. So most of your time and effort actually goes into making sure everything's going to cut seamlessly, where you want it, how you want it, and the hardest part we found is actually picking what you want, because there's so many options and so many of us don't really know what we want. So inside we have a computer and cooling fans and everything else needed to run the brain of the laser engraver. And this little access panel right here. Okay, so real quick I wanted to show you, this is Adobe stock. I know it's hard to see, but really what I want you to know is what I'm telling you. So on Adobe stock we have vectors, specifically vectors, and ideally if you have a project, we're going to try and go into this vector area and try and find whatever it is you're looking for. I'll type it into the search bar. If you want waves, say for example, on the side of your thing, if you're a surfer or you just like the ocean or whatever, I would type in waves and we would pull that up. And there's all kinds of vectors in here that we can pull from. So ideally this is where I'm going to pull things from, because vector files have a lot more data involved, where it actually knows each individual line and where it's at, which is important to the engraver because then it knows where to stop and start. Whereas if you have just like a regular photo from Google, it's going to see a bunch of shading and it's only going to see one picture for the whole picture. Whereas this is one line or one picture within a multitude of data and lines. So vectors are so much better when we actually use the machine. So I'm not saying you can't bring me pictures, because we've done that before, but it's always better if we can pull from these vectors from Adobe stock, because they actually have a lot more data that's useful to the engraver versus just an image. So after we do that, I bring them into CorelDRAW, I get them set up with the right formatting, and then we can size it, put it on the CAD program that comes with the machine. And I know it's hard to see, guys, but I'm just wanting to tell you how it works. There's this 300 by 300. It depends on which lens you're using as to which one you'll pick, which we'll talk about that. You know, we've already kind of hit that point. But the 300 by 300 is what we're using for the particular lens I'm using now. I would hit this import button, bring it in, and then we would go ahead and engrave whatever it is you're looking for. So ideally, we'll pick vectors out, and we can also add text in here. And this is the final place. This is where everything takes place with the brains. This is where it knows how it works and what we're doing. So I bring it into this program for anything we're doing with the engraver. So that's how that works. Thank you. Okay, so now we've seen what it took to get it out of the crate and over here. So now let's see what it does. Let's watch it engrave something. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you have any other questions, then you can just come into the store or call us, and we'll get you going. If you want to engrave something, then come see us. Our pricing right now is $2 per letter if you want lettering. We also do $25 for a image that's 2 inches by 2 inches or less, roughly. And then for anything bigger than 2 by 2, if it's already in our Adobe stock like you saw earlier, then it's $50. And for custom work, it's going to be a minimum of 100. We'll just have to call or talk about it in person and just figure out what you want to do, and then we'll go from there. So those are going to be by quote only. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to comment, to like, and to subscribe, and to come see us here at the shop. Have a good day. See ya.